Us was written and directed and produced by Jordan Peele, who made the very excellent Get Out a couple years ago, which I really, really loved. And this movie tells a story about a family who's trying to enjoy their vacation, but while on vacation, they encounter duplicates of themselves who try to attack them. And that's all I'm going to say about the plot. That's all the trailers pretty much showed. And yeah, that's all you need to know going into the movie. Jordan Peele's first directorial movie, Get Out, was a movie that I absolutely loved. I think this is one of the better movies of 2017. It was a movie that a lot of people loved, but also a movie that was kind of different than other movies in like the horror comedy type genre that we've seen beforehand. And with Us, I was really curious about it because it looked like it was going to be different than Get Out, and it looked more unique to me. And I stayed away from the trailers for the most part. I did watch some of the TV spots that came on TV before the film's release, but for like the full-length trailers, I avoided until after I saw the movie, and I'm so glad I did because this movie was absolutely fantastic. I think this is one of the best movies of the year so far. Right off the bat, the performances in this movie are fantastic. I can't pronounce the lead actress's name because I'm really bad with pronouncing names, but she herself carries this movie herself. Everyone in the movie is fantastic, but her herself stole the movie. You know, she has to play two different characters. The whole family does. And, you know, that's for an actor, that's hard to do. You know, it's hard to play one character, let alone two characters, as well as making it convincing that you're playing two characters. You don't want to play the normal character of yourself in the duplicate character in this situation. This film is also a more straightforward horror movie, whereas Get Out was like a comedy horror mashup. You know, there was as much comedy as there was horror elements. This movie is just straight up horror with like little sprinkles of comedy in there because of Jordan Peele's background in comedy. And I'm glad the comedy didn't overshadow the horror elements because when it could have lost itself in that situation. And I'm glad this movie just went in one simple direction and it was super effective. There was also some really great imagery in this movie. Like almost every scene, I was just looking at it like, wow, they're really trying to show something different. And, you know, I appreciated that. I appreciate when, you know, directors take time to make shots look great. You know, it's not just the scene to just get on with it. You know, certain scenes are the way they are to tell the overall story and to show the bigger picture than what's being shown. And I really like that. I like that Jordan Peele did that. He did that with Get Out, but he does it even more so in this film. I have heard some complaints about this film that the movie didn't explain a whole lot. You know, some people left hating this movie or disappointed with this movie because of the lack of explanation. Now that I've seen the movie, I understand what people are talking about, and that's fine if you think that way. But in this film, not everything needs to be explained. I'm trying to do this spoiler-free because I don't want to give anything away, but not everything I feel in this situation needs to be fully explained, because then that takes away the mystery of what's there to discover after you watch the movie. A movie like this really needs to be viewed at a second time, or at least, you know, thought about more, dove into more. You know, a lot of people nowadays with film, they just want to go see a movie and pass the time and then just leave and go home. Whereas a film like this, it's basically telling you need to pay attention to certain aspects of the movie to understand the overall picture. And this film is asking you to see this movie again, to think about this movie, because I'm not gonna lie, I left pretty confused when I left the movie, but the more I thought about it and the more I puzzle piece things together, I was just like, that is genius. That's genius filmmaking. Not a lot of people do that anymore. And I'm glad that Jordan Peele's not just taking the typical modern way of filmmaking. You know, he's not just making movies to pass the time. He's trying to say stuff in this movie. He's telling you to think. He's telling you to watch this movie again, to put pieces together. Not everything needs to be explained. I'm glad he's doing that, and people are going to leave disappointed with that aspect. I think it was the biggest strength of the movie. If I had to pick apart one thing about this movie, is that some stuff logistically didn't add up at the end of the movie. But the more I thought about it, the more I kind of consider it more like the element of not explaining everything. You know, sometimes that stuff doesn't really need to be explained. It's left to be open interpreted. And while some of that is sorta explained throughout the movie, it's not fully enough to say that logistically is 100% accurate. So I guess I could consider that a negative, but at the same time, I look at it in the same perspective as the same element of not explaining everything, which I considered, like I said, I considered to be the greatest strength of the movie. So you can decide whether for yourself, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I can forgive it. I really can, because the rest of the movie was so damn great that you don't really think about that stuff. You're thinking about what took place in the overall picture. And I left this movie confused, but the more I pieced it together, the more I thought about it like Jordan Peele wants us to do. This movie was great. I absolutely loved it. I can't wait to hear more people's thoughts in this movie and, you know, what people didn't like and what people loved about it. And I'm definitely excited to see what else Jordan Peele does. I hope he stays in the horror genre for as long as possible. For me, Us is definitely Oscar worthy. The Oscars might snub this movie because it's a horror movie. I really hope they don't. I really hope this movie, you know, makes a comeback for horror movies, because horror movies aren't considered for Oscar nominations, and that sucks because a lot of them really deserve it. But I'm hoping this movie breaks that tradition, and because it deserves it. It really, really deserves it. So what did you guys think about Us? Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you haven't seen the movie yet, I'm please telling you guys, think about this movie afterwards. Don't just judge this movie off of first initial thoughts. Really think about this movie. It's asking you to, and if you put that little effort into thinking about a movie and really putting puzzle pieces together, it makes the overall movie just fantastic. Also, a small little thing I want to talk about. This is a horror movie, and I've been to a few horror movies in the theaters, and a lot of people are really obnoxious during horror movies. A lot of people talk during the movie. A lot of people go, oh no, uh-oh, oh, and they jump really loudly. Please be respectful during this movie, because that was my theater experience for this whole movie. People were talking, people were jumping and saying, oh my gosh, and when something creepy was about to happen, it was really suspenseful, and then someone would go, oh no, no, oh, and I'm just like, just be respectful during the movie is what I'm trying to say. And as always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you're not subscribed, click right here, and I'll see you guys next time.